Pre-game, post-game, every game as we get you set for the Canucks and the Kraken here. We are presented by Bodog. From sports odds to free casino games, make it play at bodog.net. J-Pat and Wadden here with you. And J-Pat, it's a home and home here with the Kraken. The Canucks down 1-0 to them, or 0-1, I guess you could say, in this home and home with the Kraken. But tonight, as we look at the projected lines here, something interesting brewing in that top six. I see Linus Karlsson getting another shot and Nils Höglander perhaps being asked to chip in offensively.
Yeah, and we have to make sure up front, we say these are projected lines because the Canucks haven't put out anything yet. They may closer to game time, but I was out at practice at UBC on Friday. This is based on what I saw. I saw the Seattle Kraken posted a roster as well that didn't include guys like Elias Pettersson and Connor Garland. So based on that, I'm going to say that they got some information from the Canucks somehow, some way. And I think Petey's going to sit this one out. I don't think we're going to see Andrei Kuzmenko in this hockey game, and the Kraken are probably happy about that after the show that he put on the other night. But yeah, I mean, every game here in the preseason, it's an opportunity to evaluate what the Vancouver Canucks are looking at, and that means another night for JT Miller, Tanner Pearson. But as you said, this time it's Linus Karlsson who gets this long leash in the top six, and what an opportunity for him. We thought he was okay the other night, but as time ticks along in the preseason, you kind of feel like if he's going to stay in that top six, that there's going to have to be a bottom line for him. Nils Höglander getting an opportunity to play with captain Bo Horvat and Vasily Podkolzin, who we thought was probably the best forward on the ice in that Sunday overtime loss to the Calgary Flames, scored that nice goal, taking the puck to the net. Pods didn't play the other night, so he's back in the lineup, and always fun to see what he can do here as he continues to build on a strong finish to last season. And you know, one of the guys that I'm looking forward to seeing tonight is Curtis Lazar. He played in that game in Calgary, the split squad game. He was part of the veteran line that they sent to Cowtown, so didn't get a chance to see him. This will be my first chance to really watch him in game action. I was up at Whistler. You were there as well, so we saw him at training camp, but I'm kind of curious to see what Curtis Lazar brings to the mix here. The right shot on a line with Dakota Joshua and Jason Dickinson. Will Dickinson take the strong side faceoffs as a lefty, and will Lazar get the chance as a right-hander? That's sort of how they have worked through training camp, so I would wonder if that's going to continue as they play here tonight. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on Curtis Lazar.
Colin Delia getting the role as the backup tonight to Thatcher Demko, at least so we think. What do you think we can expect from Delia?
Well, I thought it was fascinating earlier in the week after one of the practices out at UBC. Bruce Boudreau was asked about goaltending and the fact that he had 3 goalies on the ice for one of the sessions. And of course, simple math, and I can do simple math. There's 2 nets on the ice and 3 goalies. So sometimes that doesn't work so well in practice. But Bruce wanted to make it clear that while Spencer Martin has the inside track, and I think a lot of people figured that Spencer Martin is going to be the backup to Thatcher Demko, Bruce wanted it to be clear, and I don't know if this was message sending through the media, that in his mind, this is still an open competition. And so I'm curious to see if Thatcher Demko, who played 2 periods the other night against Seattle, do they come back with him, or does Delia, in fact, get the start here? If Delia plays any of this game tonight, and we should point out, I know this is a Canucks pregame and we're focused on the Canucks, but the Kraken at home, they're rolling out a completely different lineup than they sent to Vancouver. And that's not a huge surprise in the preseason, the home team and the road version. But where there were a lot of hopefuls here at Rogers Arena, basically they are trotting out their lineup. Veterans galore across the line, whether it's Brandon Tanev, who his season was cut short last year, Jared McCann, the former Canuck, Andrei Burakovsky, on and on it goes. It's a much better lineup for the Seattle Kraken. So if Colin Delia gets any opportunity in this game, he's going to be facing NHL shooters. I think he has to look at it as a real opportunity to continue to put his best foot forward here, a guy with some NHL experience. He's still 3rd on the depth chart as we stand here, but look, we saw the other night, Artur Silovs. Everybody was buzzing about Artur Silovs after one preseason appearance and then one bad goal, and things turn in a hurry, and all of a sudden, his stock falls a little bit. I'm not writing Artur Silovs off in any way, but it was a bad goal, let's be honest, and it gave the Kraken some life, and they came all the way back and they won that hockey game. So not sure how Bruce is going to break down his goaltending. At one point this week, he had suggested that he was going to go with Martin and Delia and split the net, but based on the roster that I saw this morning, it looks like it's Thatcher Demko and Colin Delia as the Canucks netminders, and we may have to wait until closer to game time to figure out exactly how the coach is going to run his goaltending tonight.
Looks like Tucker Poolman's going to get another opportunity tonight, paired with Christian Wolanin, our first time seeing Wolanin, but I think the focus here really is on Poolman because he continues to go, sort of strength to strength every game along the line here for the Canucks and proving that he can stick in this lineup.
Yeah, and quite honestly, we've said it's a good news story that he has been able to stay healthy and compete in training camp and play in the preseason, but certainly haven't been blown away by Tucker Poolman, and maybe that speaks to the kind of player he is. I'm not sure that I'm ever going to be blown away. There's not a ton of puck skills there with the player. Is he making the right defensive reads? Is he trying to be physical? He's a big body, obviously. But yeah, when you look at who is in the lineup and who we think isn't going to be in the lineup, it doesn't look like Danny DeKeyser's going to play. And I know DeKeyser's a lefty and Poolman's a righty, but it really is in the blender. After Quinn Hughes, OEL, and Tyler Myers, I don't know how this defense core shakes down. And so I think every night, whether you're a veteran guy, whether you're a guy that has AHL experience and you're pushing for a job, like to me right now, it really does kind of feel like a sprint to the finish of the preseason here. And it's all about putting your best foot forward and showing that you belong in the top 6 for the Vancouver Canucks. So I think for Tucker Poolman, who missed half a season last year, he has to continue to show well. And so far through the preseason, I think he's been okay. But ultimately, is okay good enough for the Vancouver Canucks? Should okay be good enough for the Vancouver Canucks? I would say the answer to that question is no. We know that there's a lot of attention on this defense core. They need guys that are better than simply okay. So yeah, Tucker Poolman, I think a guy to keep an eye on tonight.
Ran through a lot of names there, J-Pat. Who are you going to select tonight that needs to do something?
Yeah, I went through the roster and I thought about this, and certainly you want to see some of those offensive candidates step up and stand out, but going off the board a little bit here and work with me.
Okay.
I'm going with Jason Dickinson. Remember Jason Dickinson?
Oh boy, here we go.
I need him to do something. I don't know what that something's going to be, but nobody talks about him. He just kind of flies under the radar. Disappointing season last year on that line with Lazar, Dakota Joshua. You can see that as a fourth line. You can see that maybe as a matchup checking kind of line. Again, facing a pretty good Seattle team, so I would assume that they're going to be thrown into that sort of role in this hockey game. I need Dickinson to show me that he's put in some work on faceoffs in the offseason. I need him to be stout defensively. If he gets an opportunity to kill penalties in this game, he's got to do that, and he's got to do it well. So, again, it's not always the flashiest guy that you're looking for a do-something candidate. I think sometimes in the preseason particularly, it's putting a spotlight on a guy and watching him closely. And let's see, because this has to be a redemption season for Jason Dickinson. There's still another year on his contract beyond this one. Last year, a write-off. So, just kind of curious to see what Jason Dickinson can do. Therefore, he is my do-something guy tonight.
All right, let's focus just a little bit on the Seattle Kraken as we look at the Bodog line. They are the favorite tonight at minus 136, the Canucks at plus 115. But it looks like we're going to get our first look at Matty Beniers, the second overall pick from 2021, the product of the University of Michigan. Looks like they got a good one there, and Beniers, kind of excited to see what he brings tonight.
Yeah, and we talked about them running out a bunch of veterans, but you're right. They're throwing their fans a little bit of a bone here. The home game, it's not just Matty Beniers. Shane Wright's supposed to be in the lineup, so the two of them together, their top 2 picks over the last couple of years, their first 2 entry drafts in the National Hockey League. Beniers is supposed to be that big, strong, strapping center that they're going to build around for years to come. And he got his feet wet in the National Hockey League late last season after his time with that powerhouse Michigan team. So he's the real deal. And he's only going to get better, obviously, as he continues to log game time and experience in the National Hockey League. And, we talk about building this rivalry, and it's not there yet. But there was a little heat in the game the other night. Saw a couple of fights, and there was just again, I'm not going out and suggesting that the rivalry is in place. I don't think rivalries are born until playoff matchups, but still, you'd have to think at some point over the course of Matty Beniers' time and Shane Wright, like those guys are building blocks. They're going to learn, hopefully, to get a hate on for Vancouver. Got to cut both ways, obviously. But as the rivalry builds, you would think that those two guys would be front and center from the Seattle standpoint. Yeah,
it looks like they got a couple of foundational pieces in Beniers and Wright. Perhaps they add that with the new mascot tonight that they're going to unveil. The Kraken, we didn't see it last year. They waited a whole year. And they got Jerry Bruckheimer behind them. They got Hollywood behind them. What are they going to unveil for their mascot? To me, they're doing it all wrong if it's not that Davy Jones character from Pirates of the Caribbean. Something of a squid face sort of character. And other than that, I think they're doing it wrong in a town that's well known for its mascots, whether it be the Sasquatch or Mariner Moose.
Yeah, how about Mariner Moose? That city's going to be buzzing tonight. feeding off the energy of the Mariners going to the playoffs for the first time in 21 long years. Kraken, they want to get into the playoffs for the first time in franchise history, although they can't do that with a win tonight. This is preseason. There's no playoff spots up for grabs in the National Hockey League preseason.
No, they don't have playoffs in the preseason just yet. But we do have a post game that's going to be coming up after the game between the Canucks and the Kraken. Be sure to follow us on all your favorite podcast platforms. For Jeff Patterson, I'm Andrew Wadden. This has been another edition of the Rink Wide Podcast. And remember, Rink Wide is the show that always scores.